The Walking Dead has a core problem. I think this problem ruined the show starting from like season 5. And I think that I will go even as far as to say that this problem ruined the entire franchise. And not exactly ruined, but is continuously ruining and making it worse. So if you like videos about lore, if you like videos about TV shows, movies, games, books, etc., leave a subscribe, like the video, comment, and basically, without further ado, let's just dive into this rabbit hole. So, I will just get straight to the point. The core problem with The Walking Dead is that they don't innovate. They continue milking the franchise, which is not exactly a new thing. We see, we do see a lot of spin offs and we know exactly what the hell they are doing. But I really wanted to go into how The Walking Dead is basically being butchered in the actual show. So, whenever we first interacted with The Walking Dead, the first seasons, they were great, right? We got to see a world that was ravaged by a new disease. We got to see a new characters. We got to form new relationships, and we got to see new problems. So we got thrown into this world that we had no idea how it functioned. We had no idea how things were. And we just had, the time of a lifetime, basically, right? Watching this. And, as the seasons went on, I kind of started noticing that the same kind of thing just kept repeating. The good guys, being, Rick and his group, were just encountering bad guys. They killed those bad guys after suffering, probably. And then they would live in peace for like a week. And then they would encounter more bad guys. And that would just repeat over and over and over again, like literally up until the end of the show. Even in the spin-offs, they have the same formula of having like, okay, we have to fight these bad guys, then we will achieve peace. And they fight the bad guys, they achieve peace, and then they have to fight the bad guys again. So that's the first issue with this show, is that basically after the first seasons, which like the first seasons are the best ones for this exact reason, and other smaller reasons, but this is like the main one, is that in the first seasons this formula that they're using is not repetitive. We have not seen it. We have seen it before in other shows, but not in this one, so it's fine. And basically they just keep repeating this formula. So that's not the number one issue. The number two issue is that they don't innovate the cause itself. So what caused this show? What causes the chain of events in these shows? Well, that would be the zombies, the walkers, right? These are the central point of the show. It's literally called The Walking Dead. So the walkers being the most important aspect of this whole show, it's really weird that in the later, as the seasons go on, they become less and less important. The focus shifts more on, all right, so we have this bad guy, we need to fight the bad guy. The walkers are just there to kind of give us the opportunity to tell the story. It's more, they're more of a storytelling tool, a very cheap one at that. It's like a cheap pencil you bought on AliExpress, right? At the end of the show, when in the beginning of the show they're like a good pencil you bought like at a good art store. It's like a B2 pencil, or like a, whatever. Really, damn, I'm really going in with the pencil analogies. But essentially, the walkers, zombies, just get dulled down. I think the first season captures the danger of the walkers perfectly. The walkers are also in the first seasons much more dangerous than in the later seasons, but I think they did perfectly with the CDC. So when they visited the CDC, I think it was just a perfect kind of this mix of like this post-apocalyptic sense and learning what the walkers are. And I think they should have continued with this kind of, okay, we need to find a cure thing, because what we see the characters do is they go from, all right, we need to kind of save ourselves, more like, let's just actually, what am I saying, just save ourselves, not really save the world, right? I think we should have had more of an focus on, all right, let's maybe find scientists. They kind of did this with Eugene. I think I forgot what season that was, but they did kind of like just butchered that too. I think Eugene was kind of perfect. I think they should have went with Eugene telling the truth, actually going to DC. That would have been much cooler. I think that would have been the perfect point to actually start finding some sort of like scientific explanation for this whole thing. But that's beside the point now. So what they should have done is they should have just improved the walkers. Now we do see them improving the walkers in like season 11 of The Walking Dead, which is like it's too late for that because at that point it is just the show is over. Like the walkers don't mean anything anymore. They should have started improving the walkers, making them stronger, faster by like season 5. Because if you watch Zombieland, for example, as an example, in Zombieland first movie, the walkers, the zombies are just zombies. They're just Joe Schmoes. But in the second film, those zombies now have like, I think it was like 3 or 4 groups, and they have literally new types of zombies, which I think is exactly what The Walking Dead should have done pretty early on. They should have made the zombies a more bigger of a threat because that is the main driving force of the whole show. And if you make the zombies just like a secondary tool for simply driving some narrative, it's just insane. Because if you look how the characters, like for example, Carol or Rick or Negan treat the walkers in the, when they treat them in the later seasons, they just treat them like regular NPCs. Like it's just a walker. Oh, nice. Because if you look at like any good, like, oh, good guys versus bad guys, like media, it's always like the bad guy just gets like, oh my god, this bad guy's like so OP, we need to fight him. They obviously did this with like Negan, with making Negan OP. I think if there like a perfect ending to the show as it was would have been if the show ended after Negan's defeat, perhaps something like that, because then it would have been like, all right, these are the last bad guys. Like we fought the bad guys, but they just continue with the Whisperers. But I think the Whisperers were a pretty. The Whisperers, I think, represented the kind of formula of, all right, we need to change something in the show, but we still need to stay on the safe side. So instead of actually making the walkers more dangerous, we're going to dress them up as people. And that way, we're not actually changing the walkers. We're not, messing in new territory. So, it's kind of safe. We're kind of okay. We're safe. So I think that's just a corporate decision. That's just a pussy decision. I'm going to be honest. I think personally they should have just made the walkers more OP. So that is kind of the core issue of The Walking Dead, is that it starts out with a perfect idea, with a perfect execution, with perfect, just everything about the show is perfect, and they just keep going because just like for example in Lost, it starts out great and then just dwindles and dwindles and dwindles and dwindles, and you just see that they cannot stop because the company, the people behind this who just want to earn money, they're like, oh well, this first oh my god, these seasons are doing so great, we can't take any risks, we can't really change anything. We had this original idea and now we're just too lazy to come up with another original idea, and the original ideas that we have are too risky. So we're just gonna kind of continue the show as it was, we're just gonna hope that, everything works out. And it just didn't. I think one lesson that can be learned from this show and from Breaking Bad is that you need to have a clear idea of how it's going to end or how it's going to improve and adapt. Because whenever you have a first season, a first movie, you have that original idea, you have that original vision. And whenever you make that first movie, that original idea, that vision has been expressed. So if you're going to make a second movie or a second season or a fourth season, you need another original idea just as great as that one. That's why you need a plan on how to improve the original idea into a better idea. I think that's what Breaking Bad did perfectly with Vince Gilligan, is they had a clear, at least as I understand it, a clear idea of where they wanted to go, how they wanted it to end, how they wanted to do this and that, how they wanted to improve, where this was going. Right? It wasn't just, oh, another bad guy. Oh no, like this. It was much more nuanced. right? They had much more going on. They had much more deeper characters. In The Walking Dead, sure they have good characters, but I think none of them, especially in the later seasons, in the early in the early season they have great characters, but in the later seasons those characters get shallower and shallower, right? They start using these same tricks. Oh, cool beard. Oh, cool like profession. Oh, cool like little sentences that the character says, but the character itself is like pretty shallow. So yeah, so that's essentially my take on it. I think that they should have just added another narrative to the story. Perhaps like, oh, we're gonna find a cure. We're gonna go to the CDC, like another CDC. We're gonna find a bunker with scientists. We're gonna go to the White House, find the president, something like that, right? Perhaps. That's just me throwing out ideas based on just pure speculation. I'm not saying that they actually could have, maybe like finding the president. That's kind of far fetched. But yeah, so essentially improve the walkers. Do something. Maybe a meteorite. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's goofy. But or maybe just end it, right? Maybe just end it after the first few seasons and just make an original spin-off. What they did with Fear the Walking Dead, which I liked, is that they actually made a spin-off that was different and interesting. But they did the same thing with the Fear the Walking Dead, is that they just continued the original spin-off. So they had a good idea, basically just butchered it too. It just becomes unbearable to watch. I just hate it so much in the later seasons, because they also changed the main characters. They just, spoiler alert, they just kill off the entire original family that was participating in the first season. So that's like, what the fuck is happening there? And they bring in the main characters from the main show just to be like, oh, like, oh my god, look at this, there's Rick, who knew? But yeah, or like Morgan, oh, that's Morgan from the original TV show, how great. But yeah, that's basically my take on this. That's, in my opinion, what is the core issue with The Walking Dead. And that's just a lack of innovation. That's a lack of adaptation. It's just that. That's life. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy it, then leave a comment telling me why you didn't enjoy it, because nobody will see your dislike except me anyway. So it's like, what the hell? Whatever. And yeah, so if you want to see more and you like this one, then consider subscribing. The subscribes help out the channel like so much. So like, if you can, like, feel free, like, goddamn. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I wasn't sounding, hope I didn't sound like a crazy person. Hope I was fluent, and live long and prosper.